I take these twigs, this small rock, and my bubblegum.
Looks like I'm talking about Finn's swords today. Now, here's the thing. Finn has had a lot of swords, and when I say a lot of swords, I really do mean it. This man has had at least 40 swords throughout the entire series. Now, here's the thing. Finn, although he has many different swords, I should say not a lot of them are actually magical. So I'm going to speed blitz through a lot of the mundane swords and then get into the actually important swords, like the Finn sword, grass sword, and the many other magical swords that he's had throughout the series. That being said, as many of you know, I am incredibly restricted on how long these videos can actually be, and because of that, all of these are going to be very superficial understandings. I'm going to add as much detail as I can within reason, but just know that I won't be able to go as in-depth as I like. With that being said, let's go right into it. Starting off strong, we have the golden sword of battle, which is quite possibly Finn's original sword considering he's had it consistently throughout the entire show. It is not magical in any way and is incredibly battle damaged due to the fact that Finn utilizes it consistently, despite the fact he actually has incredible amounts of sentimental value for it, because even though it's pretty much worthless and dull, he still utilizes it in battle pretty much every single day. Next up will be the root sword, and again, it's not actually magical in any known way, it is still incredibly useful in battle. Finn utilizes the sword pretty consistently throughout the series, so I can assume that it's one of his favorites. Despite that, we actually don't know too much about the sword itself. Now, one thing that should be noted is that Finn has dozens, and I mean dozens, of non-magical swords, so I'm just going to do a couple of honorable mentions that are magical that he doesn't really use all that often, such as the thunder sword, which is literally a sword entirely comprised of lightning and thunder and allows him to control electricity in pretty much any way he desires. He got the sword within the battle train and has never utilized it again since. Moving on to the more powerful swords, we can go ahead and talk about the fourth dimensional sword, which is by all means Finn's most powerful sword that he has had up to this point. It is quite literally the result of the golden sword of battle transforming into a literal black hole. Because of this, anything that it touches that's not Finn will immediately be sucked in and crushed beyond recognition. A better way of saying it would be that they got erased, and a much easier way of saying it is that they just died. However, the sword was ultimately lost when it was actually exploded when he utilized it to kill another black hole. Moving on to my personal favorite of the swords would be the Demon Blood Sword. Originally created by Keoth, an incredibly powerful demon and rival to that of Joshua, he was actually able to break free of his binds utilizing his own blood as a weapon. However, Joshua ends up stopping his attempt to escape and then immediately utilizes holy water to stun him and then take the sword for himself, eventually giving it to Finn in one of his own dungeons. Due to the fact that it's literally made out of demonic blood, it has many actual aspects to it that make it incredibly powerful, such as the ability to harm pretty much any demonic or spiritual entity regardless of who it is. It also has an incredible resistance to demonic as well as nidosphere-based magic, as it was able to block beams from an enhanced Marceline with all the power of Abadeer. Unfortunately, the blade would ultimately be destroyed by Keoth after he just drains his blood back from the original sword. Moving on to the sword that Finn definitely should have kept would be the grass sword. Originally created by Grassy Wizard, he was actually the one who created the grass sword solely for the purpose because he believed it would be cool to have a cursed weapon. And truer words have never been said due to the fact that the grass sword is easily one of the most powerful and honestly the coolest swords that we've gotten within the Adventure Time universe. Now I'm going to be going over a more in-depth video on the grass sword, but I'll give a quick summary here. As I mentioned before, the blade is cursed and has its own wants and desires as it is fully sentient. In terms of actual abilities, it has many, with the ability to quite literally shapeshift itself in any weapon it actually desires. Not only that, but it also possesses the ability to regenerate its hilt as well as any part of the sword that is damaged. It also actively helps the user by repositioning itself mid-swing in order to hit with even more precision. However, Finn would lose the grass sword after it merges with the next item on our list. The Finn sword is so much more than a typical magical sword. It is literally comprised of the very being of Finn himself. Because of this, literally anyone who wields the Finn sword will gain access to all of the physical capabilities of Finn. So when Finn himself would actually utilize the sword, his own stats would double, while when anyone else utilizes the sword, their power and stats will increase in accordance to how powerful Finn was when the sword was made. Unfortunately, the sword would actually get destroyed by a combination of Bandit Princess as well as the grass sword taking it over and transforming it into Fern. Last but definitely not least on our list would be the Night Sword, which is the most powerful sword that Finn has obtained within the show. Forged by Peppermint Butler and enchanted by Hunson Abadeer, calling it powerful would be a massive understatement. The power of the Night Sword is not entirely about its destructive abilities, but the power of its defensive ones. You see, the sword possesses the very unique ability to suppress the power and influence of malevolent beings. With its use, Peppermint Butler was able to seal away the powers of of someone as powerful as Hunson Abadeer himself, despite the fact that Hunson was the one who enchanted and cursed the blade in the first place. This is actually the reason why I believe it was given to Sweet Pea, due to the fact that its power to suppress other malevolent entities could have been used in order to continuously suppress the lich, which we know is still alive within Sweet Pea. Now with that being said, that's all the information I have for this particular video. Be sure to like, subscribe, go to my other social media platforms, and if you have an idea for a video, be sure to put it down in the comments below. If I like the idea, it will be put into the polls and then immediately be chosen by democratic election. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.